Hey, what's up, guys? This is the Wrestling Fan 0011, and I'm here, and this is. Hey, yo, guys, what's up? This is the Wrestling Fan 0011, and I'm here to give you my first ever TNA DVD review. I'm really glad I got my webcam because this is going to be really awesome here. Alright, so this is the first ever Best of the Bloodiest Brawls DVD review. And I just got finished watching it, and I gotta say, it's not a bad DVD. But the other two DVDs were way better than this. But this was still pretty good. So let's run down the card. The first match we went to was on February 12th, 2003, and it was a Falls Count Anywhere match between Raven and the Sandman. And this was a really good match. I mean, I got to give it credit. I mean, these two old guys put on a heck of a show. I mean, we did see a couple good spots in here. Like, we saw some good where the Sandman just kind of drop toe hold to Raven into the guarding rail, which Sandman brought in the ring. That was pretty cool. And we also did see, like, a lot of brawling, and the brawling was really awesome. And, like, the ending of the match was, like, really great, too. Like, we saw where Sandman was going on the balcony, because this was when TNA was in the Asylum years. And the Asylum years were the best, but I didn't really know anything about this because I started watching TNA in 2006. But anyways, Sandman was gonna go for like some kind of somersault senton off the balcony part through to Raven through the table, and then Low Key, or you may now know as Cabal in WWE, who just got released, and I'm really glad because well, Cabal in WWE sucks because now we can probably see him go to TNA, or maybe we could probably see him go to like the ROH, but I really don't give a damn where he goes. But anyways, then Cabal threw the Sandman over the balcony rail, and then Sandman went through the table. That was really awesome. And then Raven got the cover and won, and then that was pretty cool. So, it was okay. I mean, this could have been better. I mean, these guys, if they got like maybe a couple more minutes and they did like a couple other good spots, it would have been better. I'd rate this 2.5 stars. All right, and then the next match we go to was on March 5th, 2003. And by the way, all these matches are 2003, okay? But I'm gonna keep saying them. But anyways, the next match was the first ever Ravens Clockwork Orange House of Fun match. Raven versus the Sandman yet again, and this time the special guest referee was Kevin Sullivan, and this was awesome. I mean, these two guys beat the hell out of each other. I mean, we saw some like Kevin Sullivan. He was actually helping out throughout the match because he said that he was gonna. He said he wasn't there for a referee. He was just gonna be he was just gonna promote violence and all. And Kevin Sullivan is like one of the best hardcore athletes ever. Just too bad he's retired now. And he was a really great legend. But anyways, we did see a couple good spots in here. Like we saw Raven beating the hell out of the Sandman with all the weapons, and then Raven, he was just like gushing blood. I mean, he was like cut open everywhere. He was like cut open all over his face, and well, this was really awesome. But the only thing I don't get in this match was that the rules were like way different from the other Clockwork Orange House of Fun matches. And well, the rules were in this match that there were no disqualifications, but then the way you won the match was that you had to go up to Raven's perch, or the nest they like to call it, and you had to throw him over the balcony, and you had to put him throughout the tables. And I did like that spot. That was really cool. And well, I mean, I did like the match, but the rules in this match were kind of not really the best, but still a good match. I'd rate this 3 stars. All right, then and then the next match we go to was 2 weeks later on March 19th, 2003, in a no DQ ladder match for the #1 contender for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship between Raven and AJ Styles, and this was also a really good match. We saw a ton of spots, and I mean AJ Styles, I never pictured him as like a hardcore fighter, but he did an excellent job in this match. I mean, we saw this really cool spot where Raven put his head inside the ladder and then was spinning around and all, and then a part of the ladder hit AJ and then he like flipped onto his backside. That was really cool. And we also saw a pretty good spot where AJ Styles did I think he did the spiral tap or off the top rope and then to the outside and through a table. That was pretty cool. And then AJ Styles was gonna climb up the ladder, and then a guy named Glenn Gilberti. I'd never heard of him, but he actually powerbombed AJ. I mean, he grabbed him and then he threw him over the top rope and then powerbomb. He did like some kind of powerbomb and he went through the table and then, excuse me, Raven got the contract, so he got to face Jeff Jarrett after that. And Raven was just, and like I said, Raven was still bleeding. Like they actually said that the cuts he still had from the Clockwork Orange House of Fun match were still on there. I mean, he still had those cuts, and Raven is like a tough son of a bitch, and that's why I respect him. He's one of my favorite hardcore wrestlers. Okay, enough of me talking. Anyways, the next match was from March 26th, next week, if you may be exact. And it was the first ever Sadistic Madness match. It was the Sandman, Perry Saturn, and the Disciples of the New Church, Brian Lee and Slash, against the Harris Brothers and Triple X, which involved Chris Daniels and Elix Skipper. And I didn't like this match at all. I mean, okay, it was okay, but the rules for this match were kind of like the Doomsday Chamber of Blood match, only without the cage. The rules were you had to make your opponent bleed, and then you could pin him. Kind of sounds familiar, right? Doomsday Chamber of Blood? And the Doomsday Chamber of Blood match really sucks. And this match, I mean, the brawl was like really good and all, and it was like kind of getting good, but then the ending totally killed the match. Like Ron the Truth Killings came out, and then he brought out Viscera, but in TNA this time he was known as Nelson Knight, and that was pretty weird. And Nelson Knight hit like some kind of sit-out power bomb or something, and then the referee wasn't looking, and then I think Perry Saturn pinned Daniels. The hell! This was a no disqualification match. Why would you do this when the referee isn't looking? The hell! Okay, the match was good. The match was okay, but they really could have done better with this. Way better. I'm rating this like the worst match on the second worst match on this DVD. Okay, whatever. This is 2 stars. And anyways, the next match was on April 9th, 2003. And this was a the first ever, three-way armed Asylum match between the Harris Brothers, the Sandman and New Jack, and the Disciples of the New Church, once again, Brian Lee and Slash. And this was a good match. I love this. They said this came from the sick, twisted mind of the Sandman, and I mean, I do love the Sandman. He's a really awesome fighter. That's why I'm a big fan of ECW. And well, anyways, we did see a lot in this match. Like we saw a ton of table spots. Like we saw where the Sandman I think it was it was Brian Lee who got Irish whipped into like the outside of there's a table set up on the gardening rail, and he got put through the table. And the biggest part of this match was when New Jack jumped off like the top of the highest balcony there and then put Slash through the table. And then the Harris Brothers ended up winning the match when they double choke slammed. I think it was Brian Lee. I couldn't remember what the outcome of the match, but the match was really good. 3 stars. Anyways, the next match was on June 25th, 2003. This is for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship in a steel cage match. It was D'Lo Brown versus AJ Styles. What to rate on this match? I'd say complete shit. This was horrible. This was the first worst match. I mean, I will admit, D'Lo Brown and AJ Styles have had a couple good matches in TNA. I mean, I did love their ladder match. You should see it on my homepage where I added to my favorites, of course. But this was terrible. And, I mean, D'Lo Brown and AJ Styles were having a pretty good brawl so far. I mean, it only went for about like a couple minutes and all. Like, where D'Lo Brown was like smashing AJ Styles into the cage and then they were all bleeding and all. It was starting to get good. And then I was going to see D'Lo Brown like jump off the cage. I really wanted to see that. But then Vince Russo interfered in the match and they said it was a disqualification. What the hell? It's a steel cage match. No disqualifications in a cage match, even if there is interference. Well, this was 7 years ago, so it's already done. Who gives a shit anyway? All right, I rated this a 1.75 stars because they did start out pretty good, but still the ending totally killed. All right, then we go to the next match, which was on July 2nd, 2003. It was the Hard 10 Tournament Finals, Sandman versus New Jack, and this was really good. I mean, I kind of like hardcore wrestling. I mean, I'm a fan of all three wrestlings. I'm a fan of technical, high flying, and hardcore. So this was really good. I mean, we did see a lot of good weapon spots, and I did kind of like the idea of the Hardcore 10 tournament to see who was the most hardcore guy in TNA. The whole pointing system wasn't really cool at all. They could have just kept it like a hardcore style tournament, but still, it was okay. Anyways, we saw this part where the Sandman and New Jack were going up into the balcony, and then New Jack was gonna hit him with some kind of I think a stapler or something, and then the Sandman reversed that and he back body dropped him over the balcony, and then Sandman and then New Jack went falling through the table, and he actually missed part of the table, and that was insane right there. New Jack is like one tough son of a bitch. I mean, he's really good. I rated this match 2.5 stars because the reason I rated this was because they could have gone like a little longer. Like if they could have gone like maybe 5, 6 minutes, it could have been like maybe 3 or 4 stars, but it was still pretty good. All right, we go on to the next match, which was, in my mind, the best match in the DVD. And it was the hair versus hair match between Shane Douglas and Raven. This was excellent, awesome, best match in the card. I mean, best match in the DVD. Sorry, and I mean, sorry about that. Anyways, we saw like some good technical wrestling with Raven and Shane Douglas, and the thing was, when they were fighting the crowd, we did actually see some stuff that actually happened in ECW, where the fans were holding the chairs, and then we saw like someone ramming their head in. That's what they did in this match, and that was really good to see. And then we did see some really good table spots where Shane Douglas shoved Raven off the top of the table. I mean, where Shane Douglas pushed Raven off the top rope and he fell through the table. And then we saw some really good where Raven did a DDT off the top rope and through a table. That was really cool. And, well, then at the end, Raven got his head shaved, and he was scalped, and that was really sick. But really awesome, too. I'd rate this 4 stars, and then the next match was on July 30th, 2003, another Ravens Clockwork Orange House of Fun match. And this was Shane Douglas and the Disciples of the New Church versus Raven and the Gathering, which was Alexis Lurie and Julio De Niro. And this was also a really good match. I mean, we did see a couple good weapon spots, and we did see... My favorite part of the match was when Raven and Alexis Lurie were on the same rope, and then he cued Alexis Lurie to do some kind of Hurricane Rana to slash, and then Raven did an elbow drop through the table off the second rope to the outside. That was pretty cool. And then we saw somebody pull Raven under the ring, and I mean, that was pretty freaky there. And then we saw Alexis Lurie getting her ass kicked in this match. I mean, she was one tough bitch. Okay, and then the ending came where Shane Douglas pinned Raven, and then they won the match. I rate this 3 stars and 1/4. And anyways, this is all of the time I have left. Come by. I'll upload the second part later because my computer's about to run out of batteries. So see ya. I'm out. Peace. Come by for part 2.